The movers arrived at 7:15 on a Saturday morning. Vanessa opened the bedroom door wearing one of my old t-shirts and asked why three strangers were wrapping the television in a moving blanket. I was standing at the kitchen counter with my right arm still stiff from physical therapy. On the counter were four things: a copy of my 60-day notice to the landlord, the written notice the landlord had sent to Vanessa as an occupant, a printed list of the furniture I had receipts for, and 6 photographs of her sitting on a restaurant patio with her ex-boyfriend. She looked at the photographs first. Then she looked around the apartment. The couch was already gone. The dining table had been taken apart. My desk was in the hallway. The shelves were empty except for her books and a candle she had bought 3 Christmases earlier. "What are you doing?" she asked. "Moving." "Where?" "That is not something you need to know." She picked up the landlord's notice. "I thought this was junk mail." "It was sent certified. You signed for it." "No, you did." Her name was printed under the delivery confirmation. "Oh, wow." She had collected the envelope, placed it on the side table, and never opened it. That was Vanessa's habit with anything she thought I would handle. Bills, insurance letters, repair estimates, problems. She looked at the date. "This says I have to be out today." "Yes." "You can't just throw me out." "I didn't. The tenancy is ending. You were notified 60 days ago. The landlord also emailed you twice." She turned toward the lead mover. "Stop touching our things." The man looked at me. I handed him the inventory sheet. "We are only taking the items listed there." Vanessa read the top page. Sofa, television, dining table, bed frame, mattress, desk, bookcase, kitchen cart, 2 bar stools, all purchased on my card, all paid from my account. Her clothes, shoes, makeup, event supplies, laptop decorations, and kitchen equipment were untouched. She looked back at the photographs. "Ryan, I can explain this." I said, "You have had 60 days to read your mail." "My name is Ryan Mercer. I was 39 when I learned that leaving a bad relationship was not one brave decision. Oh, it was a list, a notice date, a bank account, a storage unit, a receipt, a bus schedule, a room I could afford, and the ability to keep doing ordinary things while the person living beside me had no idea I had stopped planning a future with her. Vanessa and I had been together for almost 8 years. We met at a friend's birthday dinner when I was 31 and she was 27. I worked as a refrigeration technician for a company that serviced supermarkets, restaurants, and cold storage warehouses. Vanessa worked in hotel events. She was good at her job. She could keep a bride calm while a florist was late, move 200 guests inside before rain, and make a hotel manager apologize for something that was not technically the hotel's fault. I liked that she was quick. She liked that I fixed things. Our relationship worked because we had different strengths. At least that was what I thought. We moved in together after 2 years. The apartment was not impressive. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, an old kitchen, and a balcony facing another building. But it was close to my work and cheap enough that we could still save. Oh, the lease was in my name because Vanessa had a low credit score from old car debt and a car repossession in her early 20s. The landlord, Mr. Alvarez, knew she lived there. We never tried to hide it. She was listed as an approved occupant, not a tenant responsible for the rent. At the time, that seemed temporary. We talked about getting married. We talked about buying a small house outside the city. Vanessa saved pictures of kitchens she liked. I opened a separate savings account for a down payment. For the first few years, we split most expenses. I paid more because I earned more, but Vanessa contributed regularly. She covered groceries, her car, her phone, and part of the utilities. Then the hotel changed ownership. Vanessa lost her job. She started a small event planning business from the 2nd bedroom. At first, it was just birthday parties, small weddings, and corporate lunches. She designed invitations, found vendors, and managed the day itself. I believed in her. I also knew small businesses take time, so I covered the rent. Then the utilities. Oh, then her health insurance for several months. Then a business credit card in my name because she could not qualify for one with a useful limit. She said it would only be used for vendor deposits that clients would reimburse. Sometimes that happened. Sometimes it did not. The business looked busier than it was. There were sample table settings, ribbon boxes, printed menus, artificial flowers, and half-used candles everywhere. Vanessa was always on her phone. She always had a meeting. She always had a client who was about to pay. But when the card statement arrived, there were restaurant charges, clothes, ride shares, and hotel bars mixed in with legitimate expenses. When I asked, she said networking was part of the business. I did not like it. I also did not want to be the man who acted as if every dollar gave him authority over his girlfriend. So I asked questions, accepted vague answers, and worked more hours. Supermarket refrigeration does not care about weekends. If a compressor fails at 2 in the morning, food starts warming up and someone calls. I took emergency shifts. I worked holiday weekends. I spent nights in machine rooms that smelled like oil dust and overheated wiring. The overtime went into the house fund until Vanessa needed something. A vendor had to be paid. Her car needed brakes. A client had delayed the final installment. Her mother needed help with a dental bill. I moved money out. The house account stopped looking like a house account. It became the account we used whenever Vanessa said the word emergency. The first major problem came when she owed nearly $14,000 across 3 credit cards. I found out because she left a statement open on the printer. She had been making minimum payments and moving balances between cards. I was angry. She cried. She said she had been ashamed. She said the event business was close to turning a corner. She said one larger corporate client would fix everything. I paid off 2 cards and half of the third from our down payment savings. In exchange, she agreed to close the cards and let me see the business accounts once a month. That lasted 3 months. Then she changed the passwords because, according to her, reviewing every expense made her feel like an employee. I should have ended things then. I did not. There is no useful answer to why people stay too long. Love was part of it. History was part of it. Embarrassment was part of it. I had already told my family we were saving for a house. I had already defended Vanessa when my sister said I was paying for everything. I wanted the version of our relationship I had described to other people to become true. The year everything fell apart began with my shoulder injury. I was working at a distribution warehouse outside the city. A mounting bracket above a refrigeration line had corroded. When we loosened one side, the bracket shifted and part of the line dropped. It did not crush me. It caught my right shoulder and knocked me into a metal railing. I tore part of the rotator cuff and strained my neck. The company covered treatment, but I was placed on light duty for almost 3 months. Light duty meant fewer emergency calls. Fewer emergency calls meant almost no overtime. My base pay covered the rent and bills, but there was nothing extra. 2 weeks after the injury, the transmission in my truck failed. The repair estimate was $3,800. I did not have $3,800. The emergency fund had once held almost $24,000. By then, it held just over $4,600. I paid the diagnostic fee, parked the truck at my brother's house, and started taking 2 buses to work. The trip took an hour and 20 minutes each way. I left home before 5 in the morning. Some days I stood because the shoulder brace made sitting uncomfortable. Vanessa complained that I was tired all the time. She said the apartment felt negative. She said I had stopped being supportive of her business. I reminded her that I was still paying the business card. She said that was exactly the kind of comment she meant. During that period, she began staying out later. At first, she said she was meeting vendors. Then she said she was working weddings. Then she said a friend named Nicole was having relationship problems and needed company. I knew Nicole. Nicole lived 20 minutes away and had a husband who posted pictures of them hiking every weekend. I asked Vanessa whether Nicole was all right. Vanessa said, "I told you she does not want everyone knowing." I let it go. I was not trying to catch her. I was trying to make it through each day without needing shoulder surgery. My physical therapist told me progress would be slow. My supervisor told me the company could not guarantee my old level of overtime even after I recovered. The landlord told me rent would increase by $150 at the next renewal. Vanessa told me her business needed another 6 months. Everyone wanted something from the next version of me. The current version was taking the bus with a cold sandwich in his backpack. In late September, Vanessa told me her mother had been having heart problems. Her parents lived about 600 kilometers away. She said she needed to leave for a week. I asked whether her mother was in the hospital. Vanessa said tests were scheduled and the family did not know much yet. Oh, I offered to go with her. She said I could not miss more work. That was true. I offered to pay for a train ticket. She said she needed her car because she might have to drive her mother to appointments. The night before she left, she sat at the kitchen table and told me she was worried about money. She had 2 overdue vendor bills. Her car insurance was due. She did not want to arrive at her parents' house unable to help. I transferred $2,200 from the emergency account. It left me with less than 1 month of basic expenses. She hugged me. She said, "When this corporate contract pays, I am putting all of it back." The next morning, she left with 2 suitcases. She kissed my cheek because my shoulder hurt when I turned. 2 days later, I was sent to repair a walk-in freezer at a restaurant on the west side. The job was easier than expected. A damaged relay, not a compressor failure. I finished before noon. The service manager offered me lunch at the restaurant. I declined because I had brought food. I walked around the side patio looking for a quiet place to make my report. Oh, Vanessa was sitting at a table near the railing. Her ex-boyfriend Luke was across from her. I recognized him because I had seen old pictures early in our relationship. They had dated for 3 years before she met me. Vanessa had told me Luke was selfish and unreliable. She had also told me they had not spoken in years. He was holding her hand across the table. There were 2 glasses of wine between them. Her hand was on the table with the ring I had given her for our anniversary visible beside his thumb. I stood behind a planter for several seconds. Not hiding exactly, just unable to move. Then Luke lifted her hand and kissed it. Vanessa smiled in a way I had not seen directed at me in a long time. I took out my phone. I photographed them. 6 pictures. In one, she was laughing. In another, his hand was on her knee. In the last, they were kissing. I did not walk over. I did not call her name. I went back through the service entrance, sat in the company van, and finished the repair report. The manager signed it. I took the bus home. At 5:30, Vanessa texted me a picture of a cup of tea. "Oh, long day at the hospital. Mom is exhausted." I stared at the message. Then I called her mother. We had never been close, but we spoke on birthdays and holidays. She answered on the 3rd ring. "Ryan, hi, how are you feeling?" "I am fine. I heard a television in the background. Vanessa said you were having heart tests." There was a pause. "I had a routine checkup last month." "Is Vanessa there?" "No." She said she was busy with an event. I thanked her and ended the call. That was when I stopped hoping the restaurant had an explanation. I printed the photographs at a pharmacy near the bus stop. I put them in an envelope and hid them in my work bag. That evening, Vanessa called. She said her mother needed rest and asked whether I had remembered to pay the internet bill. I said yes. She asked whether my shoulder was better. I said a little. She said, "Good. I need you back to normal." I almost asked what normal had been for her. Instead, I said I was tired. For the next 2 days, I did not know what to do. I considered confronting her by phone. I considered changing the locks. I considered sending the photographs to Luke's employer because I knew where he worked. Most of what I considered was either pointless, illegal, or likely to make my own life worse. So I called my brother Daniel. He came over after work. I showed him the pictures. He swore for several minutes. Then he asked, "What do you want?" "I want her gone." "Tonight?" "I don't know." He looked around the apartment. "Whose name is on the lease?" "Mine. She is listed as an occupant." "Then talk to the landlord before you do anything." The next morning, I called Mr. Alvarez. I did not tell him the whole story. I said the relationship was ending and I wanted to terminate the month-to-month lease. He reminded me that the lease required 60 days' notice. He also said Vanessa had lived there long enough to have occupancy rights under local rules, even though she was not financially responsible under the lease. I could not simply lock her out. He could, however, give written notice that the tenancy and her approved occupancy would end on the same date. He told me to put everything in writing and not touch her belongings. I delivered my notice that afternoon. Mr. Alvarez sent Vanessa a separate letter by certified mail and email. The end date was 61 days away. I found a room for rent above a detached garage owned by an older couple near my job. It had one bedroom, a small bathroom, and a hot plate. The rent was less than half of the apartment. I paid the deposit from what remained in the emergency fund. I did not tell Vanessa. I also opened a new bank account at a different bank and changed my direct deposit. I removed Vanessa as an authorized user on my credit card. I froze the business card after paying the legitimate outstanding vendor charges I could verify. I changed passwords for utilities and insurance. I removed my card from her food delivery and rideshare accounts. I did not cancel her phone immediately because it was part of a shared plan, and I needed time to separate the lines without losing my number. These were not dramatic actions. They took phone calls, hold music identity questions, and several lunch breaks. Vanessa came home 3 days later. She brought me a jar of jam from a roadside store. Oh, she said her mother was stable. I said I was glad. She looked at me carefully. You seem distant. My shoulder hurts. She accepted that because it was convenient. For the next week, she was unusually affectionate. She cooked twice. She asked about physical therapy. She sat beside me on the couch and put her head on my good shoulder. I wondered whether guilt had made her kinder. Then she began disappearing again. One night, she said Nicole needed her. Another night, a client wanted to discuss a winter wedding. She stayed away until morning and said she had slept on Nicole's couch. I said okay. Vanessa seemed almost disappointed that I did not argue. I mentioned counseling, not because I wanted to repair the relationship, because I wanted to see what she would say. She said counseling was a good idea, but she was too busy that month. A few days later, she told 2 friends that I had refused therapy. I learned that at a birthday gathering. Our friend Marcus pulled me aside and said, I know things are rough. You should at least try counseling before you give up. Oh, I suggested it. He looked surprised. Vanessa said you laughed at the idea. I did not show him the photographs. Not yet. I simply said, that is not what happened. The lies were spreading slowly. Vanessa told people I had become controlling with money after my injury. She said I monitored her purchases. She said I used the fact that the lease was in my name to make her feel unsafe. None of it was completely invented. I had asked about purchases. I had stopped the business card. The lease was in my name. That was enough truth to make the rest easier to believe. I stopped trying to correct every conversation. I saved messages. I wrote dates in a notebook. I forwarded important emails to a private address. I kept copies of bank statements and receipts. I was not building a court case. We were not married and had no children. I was protecting myself from being pressured into paying more when I left. About 3 weeks into the notice period, an old tablet in the kitchen powered on after I charged it. It had once been connected to Vanessa's account. A message notification appeared from Luke. Oh, I did not guess a password. I did not break into anything. The tablet was still signed in and sitting in our shared kitchen. I opened the message because his name was visible. The conversation went back months. Vanessa had been seeing him before my injury. She complained to him that I was cautious and boring. She told him I had nearly $25,000 saved. She said I was useful but not ambitious. The message that mattered most was sent 2 weeks before the restaurant. Wait until Ryan gets his annual bonus. I can clear the car and move without starting broke, Luke replied. You said he might not get it because of the injury, Vanessa wrote. He always finds money. That is what he does. I read that sentence several times. He always finds money. I thought of the buses. The shoulder brace. The truck at my brother's house. The $2,200 she said was for her mother. The credit cards. The house account. She had not stayed because she was confused. She had stayed because I was still useful. I photographed the messages with my phone. Then I turned off the tablet and put it back where I found it. My annual bonus was due in November. It was not guaranteed. That year it would be smaller because I had missed emergency shifts. Vanessa began asking casual questions about it. Do you know when bonuses come through? Are they based on total hours? Could we finally pay off my car? I said I did not know. The bonus arrived 4 weeks before the lease ended. $3,100 after tax. It went into the new account she did not know existed. That same week, she told Luke she was almost ready. I spent part of the bonus repairing the truck. Not all of it. The mechanic allowed me to pay half and the rest over 2 months. The first morning I drove again, I sat in the parking lot outside work for a few minutes. The truck was old. The driver's window rattled. The heater only worked on the highest setting, but it was mine and it ran. That felt more important than it should have. During the final month, I began packing. I rented a storage unit and moved small items while Vanessa was out. Tools, books, winter clothes, photographs, kitchen equipment I rarely used. I'll wear my father's watch. I left enough behind that the apartment still looked normal. The large furniture stayed until moving day. Mr. Alvarez scheduled viewings only when Vanessa was at work or away. He had no interest in being part of the revenge. He simply wanted a smooth turnover and rent paid through the final date. A couple signed a new lease starting 2 days after ours ended. Mr. Alvarez emailed both of us the final move-out instructions. Vanessa did not mention it. I later saw the email marked unread on her phone screen while it sat on the table. She was planning a corporate holiday party and believed every practical detail could wait. 1 week before moving day, she asked whether we could use my bonus to pay off her car. I said no. She stared at me. Why not? I have expenses. We have expenses. The car is in your name. Her face changed. You are punishing me because you are unhappy. I'm not paying off your car. She called me selfish. She slept in the second bedroom. The next day, she told Marcus that I was financially abusive. Marcus called me again. Oh, this time I sent him 2 photographs from the restaurant and a screenshot of the message about my bonus. I wrote, I am not asking you to choose sides. I am asking you not to repeat things about me without knowing this. He called immediately. I did not answer. He texted, I'm sorry. That was enough. I did not send the evidence to everyone. I did not post it. I sent it only when someone directly accused me or asked why I had changed. Most people stopped contacting me. A few apologized. 2 said the relationship was complicated and did not want to be involved. That was fine. There was one more problem before the lease ended. The electricity account had always been in my name. Vanessa had promised to transfer it when I moved, but the utility company would not move an account to someone who had not applied. If I closed it on the final day, the power could be shut off before the landlord finished cleaning. Mr. Alvarez asked me to keep it active for 2 additional days and send him the final bill. I agreed because I wanted the handover documented and clean. Vanessa later told Marcus I had threatened to cut off the electricity while she was packing. I had the email showing the opposite. That detail mattered to me more than it should have. By then, I understood how easily a practical decision could become a story about cruelty when only one person told it. I also visited a free legal clinic during the notice period. The lawyer there did not give me a dramatic strategy. She reviewed the lease, the occupancy notice, and the property list. She told me to photograph every room before the movers arrived, keep the receipts, and avoid any argument that could be described as intimidation. Do not try to win the breakup, she said. Just leave without creating a new problem. I followed that advice. On moving morning, my brother stayed in the parking lot in case the situation became tense. He never came upstairs. The movers had been told not to discuss the relationship. Mr. Alvarez handled the occupancy deadline. I handled my property. That separation kept the day from turning into something worse. The day before moving, Vanessa stayed out overnight. She texted that she was at Nicole's. At 6:30 the next morning, she came home and went straight to bed. Oh, the movers arrived 45 minutes later. By 8, the couch was in the truck. By 8:30, the bed frame was apart. Vanessa stood in the kitchen holding the papers. She picked up one of the restaurant photographs. When did you take these? 2 months ago. You knew for 2 months. Yes, and you acted normal. I paid the rent. I went to work. I waited for the notice period to end. You were spying on me. I saw you during a service call. You went through my messages. The tablet was signed in. Your message about my bonus appeared on the screen. Her face went red. That was private. So was my emergency fund. She started crying. The movers kept working. I told them they could take a break in the hallway. Vanessa lowered her voice. I was going to tell you. I did not know what I wanted. The message said you wanted my bonus first. You do not understand the context. What is the context? We were unhappy. That explains leaving. It does not explain using money for your mother to meet Luke. She looked away. I asked, is your mother still having heart tests? Oh, what? She said nothing. Mr. Alvarez arrived around 9 with the final inspection form. He greeted Vanessa politely and explained again that her occupancy ended that day. She said she had nowhere to go. He reminded her that the certified notice had been delivered 60 days earlier and that he had sent 2 emails and a text. She said she thought Ryan would renew the lease. Mr. Alvarez said he gave notice. I cannot renew a lease for him without his agreement. She asked for another week. The new tenants were scheduled to move in after cleaning and repainting. Mr. Alvarez gave her until 8 that evening to remove her belongings. He said if she needed more time for specific boxed items, he could arrange paid storage for several days, but she could not remain overnight. That was more generous than he had to be. Vanessa called Luke. He did not answer. She called again. Then she sent messages. Finally, she walked onto the balcony. I could hear part of the conversation through the open door. You said I could stay with you. A pause. No, I am not asking forever. Another pause. What do you mean, this is not a good time? She came back inside looking stunned. His wife is home, she said. I had not known Luke was married. Vanessa claimed he had told her they were separated. Maybe he had. Maybe she had chosen not to ask many questions. Either way, he did not come. Nicole came at noon with a hatchback and an angry expression. She looked at me as if I had done something cruel. Then Vanessa showed her the notice. Nicole read the delivery date. Her expression changed. You had this for 2 months. I did not know what it was. It says tenancy termination on the envelope. Vanessa said nothing. Nicole helped pack clothes and event supplies. They made 3 trips. The landlord arranged storage for the remaining boxes at Vanessa's expense. I did not take a final photograph of her. I had enough photographs. At 3 in the afternoon, the movers finished. I walked through the apartment one last time. The walls looked brighter without furniture. There were marks where the bookcase had stood, a loose tile near the balcony door, a stain under the kitchen cart. 8 years did not leave a dramatic ruin. It left small maintenance issues. I gave Mr. Alvarez the keys. Vanessa was sitting on the floor beside 2 suitcases waiting for Nicole to return. She looked exhausted. Where are you going? She asked. I found a room. With who? By myself. She nodded. Then she said, You planned this perfectly. Number. She looked at me. I planned it carefully. It was not perfect. My shoulder still hurt. I still owed money on the truck repair. My savings were almost gone. I had no bed in the new room. Nothing about my life was perfect. I left. The room above the garage was smaller than it looked in the listing. The ceiling sloped. The hot plate tripped the breaker if I used the microwave at the same time. The first night I slept on a mattress on the floor. I ate sandwiches and instant noodles for several weeks because I had spent more than expected on the deposit movers, storage, and truck. My shoulder improved slowly. I did the exercises every night using a resistance band tied to the bathroom door handle. I went to work. I paid bills. I stopped checking Vanessa's social media after the first week. There was no instant reward, no promotion, no new relationship, no sudden money. There was simply less money leaving my account. That made a difference. Within 2 months, I paid off the remaining truck repair. Within 4 months, I had rebuilt a small emergency fund. Not a house deposit, just enough to cover a repair without borrowing. Vanessa stayed with Nicole for several weeks, then rented a room with another event planner. Her business struggled because the card in my name was gone, and several clients paid late. I did not contact clients or interfere with her work. She had to reduce the number of events she accepted. Her car was repossessed after she missed payments. I heard that from Marcus. He expected me to feel satisfied. I did not. I said that is unfortunate. It was. The car was not revenge. It was a loan she could not afford without my money. Vanessa told people I had deliberately made her homeless. Some believed her. When my sister received a message accusing me of abandoning Vanessa without warning, I sent her the notice, the certified delivery record, the photographs, and the screenshot about the bonus. My sister replied, "Understood. That was the only public defense I needed." A few months later, Vanessa emailed me. The subject line was things I need back. The list included a coffee machine, 2 bar stools, the television, and a set of knives. I sent receipts showing I had bought them. I also sent photographs of the items I had left for her. She replied that couples share property. We were not married, and the purchases were mine. I offered to return one framed print her sister had given us and a box of family photographs that had been mixed into my storage unit. She collected them from my brother. We did not meet. About 9 months after the move, she asked if we could talk. I agreed to meet at a coffee shop during the day. She looked different. Not ruined, not dramatically changed, just tired and less certain. She said she had ended things with Luke. I said that was her business. She said, "I know you think I used you." I do. I did not plan all of it. "You planned enough." She looked down at her coffee. I kept thinking I would decide later. That was still a decision. Oh, she nodded. She apologized for lying about her mother. She apologized for the money. She apologized for telling people I refused counseling. Then she said I was angry that you could always keep things going. I did not understand. She explained that when the business failed to pay, I found overtime. When the car needed repair, I moved money. When rent increased, I adjusted the budget. She had started to treat my ability to solve problems as if it were a shared resource that did not require permission. That part sounded honest. I said solving a problem does not mean I do not feel it. She cried quietly. I did not comfort her. I was not trying to punish her. I simply did not want to take care of her feelings again. She asked whether I could forgive her. I said I am not angry every day anymore. That is as far as I am. She accepted it. We left separately. A year after moving out, I rented a small 1-bedroom apartment near work. Nothing special. The kitchen cabinets were cheap. The bedroom window faced a parking lot. But the lease utilities and furniture were all mine. I bought a used dining table from a retired couple. It had scratches along one edge. I paid cash. My shoulder was almost normal. I still avoided lifting overhead when I could. My truck still rattled. I had started saving again. One evening, my sister came over for dinner. She looked around and said, "This place is quiet." I said yes. That was all. I had spent years confusing a full apartment with a stable life. The old apartment had furniture plans, shared accounts, and 2 people in it. It was not stable. The room above the garage had almost nothing, but the rent was paid, the account was mine, and no one was waiting for my next paycheck before deciding whether to leave. People in our friend group still tell the moving day story as if it was a brilliant revenge plan. They talk about the photographs on the counter, the movers arriving early, the apartment emptying while Vanessa stood there. That was the dramatic part, so it is the part they remember. What I remember is everything around it. Calling the landlord on my lunch break, waiting 60 days, taking the bus with a bad shoulder, moving boxes into storage one at a time, eating cheap food because movers cost more than expected, reading messages that showed my emergency fund had become part of someone else's exit plan. There was no clever trick. I stopped paying for a relationship that had already ended without telling me. Vanessa used my last emergency money to spend a week with another man. She planned to stay until my bonus arrived. I did not expose her online. I did not damage her belongings. I did not remove her without notice. I protected my account, ended the lease properly, moved what belonged to me, and left. For a while, life was harder. Then it became cheaper. Then it became calmer. That was enough.